On the 1983 July, the Black July riots, why have we spoken on this today? Why we have taken up this adjournment debate? That is not to blame the past, but to learn from the past. Never to repeat the mistakes of the past. It is important our new generation understands what is Black July and what it did to us, our friendships, our country, our society and our economy. It's very important. So we learn from the past. The whole lesson should be, when we are divided we will fall, unity we will stand, regardless of race, religion or any other reason. But quite unfortunately, even this simple topic was unable to be comprehended by some of the members of the opposition who was preaching venomous hatred even today. But that is up to them, that is their political culture. Honorable Chairman, no person is born a racist. No person is born hating another person's race or religion. Hatred is taught. It is learned because people are born with natural feelings. Love, compassion, brotherhood. These are the things which are natural to a human being. That's how we survive for thousands of years. Unity. That's how we survive. But hatred is being taught for political reasons. Racial hatred especially. Talking about Black July, we have to learn it. That was the pinnacle or the height of our racist tensions, where so many of our brothers and sisters lost their property and life for no fault of their own, but for belonging to a particular racial group. I was only 11 years of age when that happened, and I lived in Maduluwawe. And as a young boy, what I saw should not be seen by anyone. On that fateful day, first it was a rumor saying that LTTs coming to Colombo to attack us. Remember, at the time there was no social media, no mobile phones, only land phones were available. There was a rumor that was being spread like a wildfire, and only in an organized manner. How did this organized rumor went about? At a time, there was only land phones, no mobile, no Facebook. State-sponsored, that's my answer. Those rumors were state-sponsored. When after 13 soldiers died on that fateful day, JR's government at the time deliberately waited for 2 days without activating the police, allowing people to run riot. So that's why I say J.R. Jayawardena's government was a terrorist government, and it was state-sponsored terrorism of the highest order. And I remember the Tamil people who lived among us lived with no fear. I mean, our cultural identity, our friendships are all based on this. As a child, the first time I remember sukiri or the sweet was when I was in Jaffna. That's how I remember Jaffna. For the first time in my life, I ate idli, and that was in Kandy, Uncle Ganeshan's house, when we were watching the Kandy Perahara. This is how we were raised. This is what we remember. In 1983 July, in my house, we had to house Uncle Ganeshan, his wife and his family. And inside our rooms, when they were seeing other places being burned down, they were in tears, in fear of their lives. Remember, the Sinhala people or the Sri Lankan Colombo people, they stood by, but the state-sponsored terrorism went on. My grandfather, Alfred Perra, has been living in Kalubul from 1920s. On that day, I was standing with my grandfather on the side of the road. Some people came with electoral registers in their hands, so my grandfather told me. They were asking my grandfather, who are you? Are there any Tamil people living in this house? And they had lists. Remember, these are not the time you had WhatsApp. So how did those goons get all this information? State-sponsored electoral registers. And the villagers came and said, this is Alfred Perra. He's a Sinhala man. There are no Tamils living in here. While we had 8 to 15 inside our own house. That's a different matter. So this is why I said this thing was sponsored by the then UMP government and no one else. Thereafter, we remember, we had to get them out of the country. And many years later, my father being a film man, he always believed we must have a Tamil film industry. So he made one movie called Anuragam, another called Nadu Potru Valga, where Uncle Ganeshan was involved as a producer as well as an actor. Only much late in the 1990s, I realized that Uncle Ganeshan and them who lived in our family is actually Honorable MP Mano Ganeshan's parents. I did not know that. Only in the 1990s late, I realized I had spoken to him. This is how we looked after each other. And so we have suffered enough. We have seen enough blood, enough sweat, enough tears, and this should not re-happen again. So as the Minister of Justice, I'm glad that I'm here today. So I shared my personal experiences because I was a child. I saw when I was at the Kalubula Junction how they came and killed the man who been mending our shoes for years in a brutal manner. I've seen people wounded trying to reach the hospital. They have been beaten up by the racist goons. I'm embarrassed because now I meet so many of my friends who are living overseas after the 83 riots. They left this country. They're not here. But they have forgiven us. The people have forgiven. We understand all this racism has to come to an end, and our government will make sure it comes to an end. The start is why I, as Harshana, Nanayakkara, they said a lot of things about 88, 89, the JVP. But then, with such a background, Honorable Mr. Rauman, why am I here? The reason is simple. The reason is this government stand by all human rights and all values. They are not racist. They treat people equally.